Aggressively Casual.
This has been fun. Welcome everybody to Aggressively Casual, episode 6. This is going to be an interesting episode because it's
This
something.
is a fill-in episode because we were stupid. I'm just going to come out and say it.
For those of you who noticed we didn't do a show last week, we may or may not have woken up on Tuesday morning and gone, were we supposed to record a show last night?
I believe the exact words out of my mouth were, well, shit.
So as always, I am Freebird. With me to my internet left is my co-host, lovely, wonderful, amazing Cheeks. Say hi, Cheeks.
Hello.
So, what have you been playing lately?
Well, I have still been playing the game that should not be named.
Oh, right. That's right. The thing
Hopefully
you can't...
soon the game will be able to be named.
Right. Well, technically, you did look. You can name the game. You just can't share any details of the game.
Yeah, technically, but they did actually put up a post that they would prefer you did not.
Oh.
Which is why, if you'll note, my Steam notifications have been turned off.
Ah, okay. Okay.
They're not like big on, they don't care. They're just like, we know it's a thing. We prefer that you turn them off.
Okay.
But
okay.
You know,
yeah, because I noticed it went from saying
I don't know why everybody knows the damn thing's in beta.
Right. Well, my thing, I noticed that it was saying you were playing like an unnamed game, and then a couple weeks ago it switched to you were playing that game.
Right.
And I was like, they named? Oh, okay, sure.
Right, and then they put up a thing that's like, we'd like you to turn those off if you wouldn't mind. I'm like, it's kind of too late now. The cat's out of the damn bag.
Right, but the cat's out of the bag.
I've got people messaging me about that. I've got people, you know, because all my friends lists, I have it set to friends only. Yeah. So it's just my friends, but you know, they're like, hey, well, I'm like, I can't talk about it.
Like, so tell us about this wonderful game you're. I can't.
Right. Hopefully soon that'll be undone. I did pick up. Well, we did play a little Delta Force. Yep. I'll wait till the controller support is in place before I try that again.
Fair.
And before somebody asks me about, oh my god, you know, mouse and keyboard is way better on the computer. I use a controller for a reason. I had wicked carpal tunnel, and to this day, using the mouse or whatever, even my trackball starts to hurt real fast. So no.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I did pick up Path of Exile today. Path of Exile 2. I played a little bit. The controller scheme is whack.
Really? Because I heard it was great.
Well, I'm not sure what screen, and I can't find a way where I can remap any of it. So here's the thing, and I think what they need to do is reverse some buttons.
Okay.
So let me see if I can explain this. So it's an ARPG. It's Path of Exile / Diablo / Torchlight. So we all know how this works.
Right.
You have a list of skills on a hotbar.
Yep.
And so the main fire button is the right button. And you use the right trigger to select a skill.
Don't like that.
Or you use the left trigger or the left button to select a skill, and then the right button fires. It should be right button, left trigger, right trigger, fires.
Yep.
Done.
Yep.
I don't know why they're doing this. Hopefully at some point this can be remapped, because it's driving me up the damn wall.
Yeah, I would assume that'll be remappable at some point, but I mean the game is in what they've
it's in early access. The first 3 acts are the only thing in right now.
Well, it's first 3 acts plus like part of the end game, right?
Half the classes are in. There's only 6 classes. There'll be 12 on release.
Yep. And we still don't have an actual release date.
No, yeah, they're like, you know. But gameplay wise, it is significantly slower than Path of Exile. That's not a bad thing. It does feel, you know, when we were talking about this at first and looking at it, it's like it feels somewhat weighty. It does. You're constantly dodging, so if you've played a Dark Souls game, you'll be used to that stuff.
Yeah.
You can get body locked into a corner, and then all you can really do is just dodge and fire once, dodge and fire, dodge, and hope that eventually it clears.
Yeah. I
Um,
think it falls in terms of in terms of difficulty from what I've gathered. It falls in terms of difficulty somewhere between Diablo 4's like tier 3, tier 4 and No Rest for the Wicked's insane fucking Dark Souls style like fuck you
yeah, I
combat.
couldn't. I tried No Rest for the Wicked and just could not
You couldn't. Yeah,
really get
I
into
know
it.
you. I remember you were like banging your head against the fucking desk, going,
It's like,
"This is
yeah, I still
insane."
never have beat that guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never did
Yeah.
beat that guy. I just finally gave up.
Hey, I mean,
Um,
hey, that is what it is. You know.
that is how I'm aggressively casual. If it gets and you can don't get me wrong, and it's because the days of my beating my head against the wall, I figure something out, are pretty much over. I am
Yeah.
to quote the great Murtaugh, I am too old for this shit.
Yep.
Um,
Understandable.
and it's just,
It's not
don't get me
fun.
wrong, I
It's
don't
not
mind
fun for me.
puzzles,
Right.
but it's not fun after a while. The and the weird thing is, here I am playing Path of Exile. That ultimate grind is not fun, which nicely leads us right into tonight's topic. Look
Right.
at that. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. Almost.
So, tonight's topic, if you look at the title of the show, is games want to be your job. And I'm not talking about like making streaming your job or playing games for a career.
No.
No.
That's
We're
just
talking
time in
about
game.
we're talking about every single video game that comes out now wants to be your
The,
next hobby, your
right.
next your second job.
The only
And
thing you play.
the only thing that you play, and a lot of creators are talking about this right now, but I think a lot of creators don't understand that this isn't a new problem or a
No.
new thing in video games. This has been around since Ultima Online.
I think it goes back farther than that, actually. I
But
think it goes back to Muds,
well, sure,
at
but
least.
the difference is 20 years ago, right? There was a handful of games that were like that. EverQuest, Ultima, World of Warcraft, Star Wars Galaxies, they were mostly MMOs, right? Now,
Right.
every single company has at least or has tried to have at least one game that they want to be your next job.
Right. First of all, that was almost 30 years ago now. Ultima Online was released 27 years ago. 25 years ago for EverQuest, 1999.
Yep.
Which, oddly enough, this week I have been deep into like old school EverQuest lore
Yep.
videos. I just watched a 2.5 hour interview with Jeff Butler. I don't know what it is. Suddenly, EverQuest is back in
Well,
my
it's-
zeitgeist, if you will.
It's because they recently came out with that little behind the scenes interview video where they were talking about what they want to do with the next EverQuest game, and every single
Right.
fucking video in my feed for like a week has been talking about that video or sorry about that interview and speculating and all that since you linked me the Redbeard Flynn video.
Right? Yeah, it's like, and they all they really said was, yeah, we're developing something, and
Well,
it
right.
probably won't be called EverQuest 3,
Right.
which is I think is a good idea.
Yep.
But they tried it already with EverQuest Next, and it failed.
Well,
But it didn't fail because of that. And
right.
EverQuest Next and what would have been what was it, EQ Beyond? EverQuest Beyond, was that what the thing?
Oh, the
No,
home
no,
the
no, it was
homestead thing?
EverQuest Next and
Yeah.
Landmark.
Yeah,
Um,
Landmark. Yeah.
EverQuest Next might be one of the greatest games that never was.
Yep.
Landmark was great for what it was for what was there, but Landmark was never meant to be the game. Landmark was the crafting portion.
Yep.
And they later
had-
added some actual
they-
PvE stuff
they
towards the very
had-
end.
Yeah, they had an incredible plan with EverQuest
Yeah.
Next and Landmark, and they were
Yeah.
they just couldn't execute the plan.
Right.
And I've always said that. But that's another
Yeah.
game. That is another game that most assuredly would have wanted to been your job.
Oh, absolutely. And well, and MMOs, like you say, MMOs essentially anything that was massive, well, let me say not massive, but persistent.
Yeah.
Was what started it.
Yeah.
Anything that was persistent was what started it, because now you've got to get in, and it becomes of Oh God, I haven't logged in for 2 days. Now I'm 10 levels behind my friends.
Right. Well,
Um,
and that's that like the problem with that is that it went from being a genre problem, right? Or a genre staple to being every fucking company saw
right.
the success that World of Warcraft had. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Because MMOs were niche as fuck
Yeah,
until
yeah. Well,
World of Warcraft
in this interview I was listening to today, Jeff Butler talked about that exact same thing.
really.
And that was his exact thing. He's like, look, it really wasn't until World of Warcraft came along that suddenly companies were like, hang on,
Hang on, there's
there
money
is
here.
millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to be made here.
Yep.
And which he was talking about budgets, and he mentioned the fact that they threw $280 million at SWTOR.
Yeah.
Vanguard's budget, they managed to eke out 12 million from Microsoft because Microsoft still wasn't there yet.
Yep.
They weren't on that train. But yeah, it becomes this thing of, well, they prey on FOMO, they prey on your fear of missing out, they prey on the fact that if you're going to fall behind your friends.
Yep.
And even here's the thing, it even happens now because all three of us in our little group have installed Golden Circle, right?
Yeah.
We've got Indiana Jones, but you've played. I've watched you play some of it.
Yep.
Jeff has started playing some of it. I haven't started yet, and at this point, I'm like, I've seen the first 3.5, 4 hours of this game already.
Yeah.
So I know what's going to happen,
Right.
and I just really do. I want to slog through that,
Or do you
try
want
to get to new stuff,
right,
or do I just
or-
want to watch you play it?
Right. Right. Well, so
Because it's a single
here's-
player.
Yeah. Yeah. Single player games are different, and I think that beyond World of Warcraft, right? Because World of Warcraft opened up companies' eyes to, hey, there's money here, right?
Right.
But it didn't really creep outside of the MMO genre successfully until Destiny.
Yeah. You're true enough.
And
That's because Destiny was the first one that kind of sits in that middle area.
Yep.
It's multiplayer, not quite massive.
You could almost say Borderlands was the test bed for that idea, but Borderlands isn't a persistent world.
But
and
Borderlands, right. That's what Borderlands wasn't persistent,
Yeah.
and it's only your small group.
Yep.
Whereas at times in Destiny, you're in the patrol areas with however other many people happen to be in that area.
Yeah.
Destiny is like, again, it's what I would term not quite massively multiplayer, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because most things in Destiny are small group oriented. There's only a few places like the social spaces, some of the open patrol areas where you get into that
right.
that massive area. But yes, I agree. Destiny is the one who brought this to the shooter, the multiplayer shooter, and then unfortunately it was picked up by the likes of Call of Duty.
Right.
And it's just kind of
so here's what's really interesting. I just did a Google search, right? Because I was thinking about this all day. Because this is something I think is really interesting. It is watching the trend over the past, I'd say, 15 years in gaming, right? Go from these single-player, story-focused titles to shifting to games as a service,
right?
To shifting to the live service model that we're in now, and which is a bunch of bullshit. And to be perfectly honest. Like, yes, it is a wonderful time to play video games.
Games as a service in general is a bullshit idea.
Oh, absolutely. It is a wonderful time to play video games. There's never been a better time if you want to pick up and play video games to do it, because there's something for everybody.
Absolutely.
I will stand firm on that.
Yeah.
But
you're not wrong.
But the amount of shit we have to shovel through to get to the good games, be them single player or multiplayer, whatever, is so fucking insane. I just did a search for failed live service games, right? I just want to see, right? And the Gamer has an article, live service game is shut down quickly. There's 13 games on this list that were launched as the next big live service title, right?
Right.
That were gone within a year of them being released.
All right, so the list starts with Anthem.
No, the list starts with Concord.
See, so
here's
these
their
are
list.
recent.
Here's their list.
Yeah, what's the list?
Here's the list, right? There's a more recent list, it looks like, but Concord,
Yeah.
Radical Heights, which I completely forgot about.
Not even.
Okay. Radical Heights was the battle royale, weird, like stylized. It was really fun,
Sure.
but it was only literally around for like a month.
I did play a very tiny little bit of Marvel Rivals, but anyway, move on.
The day before, because fuck that, Crucible.
That doesn't even really count.
Right, it was the day before.
The day before,
Shovelware.
which shouldn't even really count. That was scamware from the very beginning.
Crucible, which I also forgot existed.
Right.
But that was the Amazon game.
Yeah.
Babylon's Fall, which looked incredible.
Right. Looked good.
Looked beautiful. But just didn't. Lawbreakers.
I barely remember some word on that.
Lawbreakers was the guy who the Halo
right
boss key games
Okay.
Whatever. Crossfire X, which is another one that I completely forgot about.
Right.
The Culling, which is another battle royale-ish game. That was Paragon, which I think you played. I think you played Paragon.
I did play a little bit of Paragon.
Anthem is on this list.
Right. Well, it has to be, right? Because that's kind of the poster child for this shit.
Knockout City.
I barely remember that.
Marvel's Avengers, which is the longest running one on this list at about a little over 3 years. Now, here's the thing. Here's the worst part of it, is that the campaign around Marvel's Avengers was fucking great. And if you haven't played it, go play the fucking campaign. That campaign was great.
Yeah, the campaign's good. The campaign is good. Yeah, but it's much like Anthem. It should have been a single player game and been done with it, or a co-op game of just get my friends in.
Now, I definitely agree with number one on this list. Evolve. Did you ever play Evolve?
Maybe. It rings a bell.
The 4v1 monster shooter.
Oh, no, I didn't play it, but I am familiar with it.
So we played and interviewed the Evolve developers at E3 for 2 years. When I tell you the love that I had for that game was insane. It was so ahead of its time. And it was such a great concept because the monsters all had different abilities and could do different things. And you never knew what you were going up against until you got into the match. The characters that would fight the monster all had incredible abilities, and it was just a wonderful damn game. I loved that game. It oh my god, Battleborn. Battleborn.
Good game.
Oh man, Battleborn was so good.
It could go on this list.
Yep,
actually,
it should go on this list.
It should be on this list.
Battleborn was incredible.
Of the three that came out at that point, which the three being Overwatch, Battleborn, and Paladins, Battleborn was the best of those three.
Battleborn was the best.
Gameplay-wise.
Yeah, exactly. Battleborn was the best.
Oddly enough, the one that was successful was the worst of the three.
Yep.
I liked both Battleborn and Paladins far better than Overwatch. I played 5 minutes Overwatch and was like, I'm done.
The thing with Overwatch, and I will defend Overwatch on this one thing. It wasn't the game. It was the experience the game gave you with your friends. Blizzard, for whatever reason, that is something that
Blizzard. The same thing about Destiny.
Right, but that is something that Blizzard, through all of the shit that Blizzard has done over the years, they understand. They got it right with Warcraft back in the day.
They
got
understand
it right with World of Warcraft
at times, and then at times they lose the plot.
Like Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2, a few notable WoW expansions. They tend to lose the plot. I think that's probably driven more by bean counters than it is developers. But yeah.
And that's the other thing is this shift in the industry to a first games as a service and now a live service model is
the funny thing is you can blame the same game for all of it.
Yeah.
The money got too big. Is what happened. When WoW had 10 million players.
Yeah.
At what was it? $15 a month?
Yeah, when WoW had 10 million plus 15.
Do the math, folks. I mean, that's
you're talking
a month.
plus you're talking $40 for an expansion every 2 years.
Cost, and then so you're 40. But see, that part I don't actually begrudge them.
Right.
But here's the thing:
research and development
according to this interview
expensive.
I just watched Jeff Butler.
Yeah.
The ongoing server costs for a game like that, not nearly as much as you might think.
Correct.
He's like, that's like next to nothing. So,
especially in Blizzard's case, where one, they own their own server farms. They don't rent. They haven't rented a server.
Yeah, if you're not renting,
if
you're renting servers, that cost is going to go up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can blame WoW for kind of that too, because suddenly there was money to be had.
Yep.
A lot of money to be had.
Right.
And then so that caused budgets, and we talked about this. I mentioned this before that and people are going to hate me for this one. Budgets are out of hand.
Yep. Oh yeah.
For these games.
Yeah.
You're never going to make back your investment. Even if, for example, even if Star Citizen released today and was the greatest game ever made,
it would never.
They will not make back that investment.
No.
So yeah.
No. The thing with the thing that I find interesting, right, is that every company known to fucking man jumped on this live service ship because one game from one company was successful once.
Right.
Now, granted, it's been
and everybody wants to do the same thing.
It's been continuously successful for 20 years, but it's not like there was a pattern of 2 or 3 or 5 games that really had this hold on the market, and it was
no. WoW is definitely the outlier. When you have and unfortunately, what has happened, and we're kind of drifting here a bit, but what has happened with the MMO market is everything that's come after WoW has been compared to WoW, and when they don't get 6 or 7 million players, they're considered a failure.
Well, right. Well,
and I'm like,
WildStar is the perfect example of that. WildStar was a wonderful MMO.
I play WildStar.
WildStar is one of my favorite MMOs that I wish would come back. Because that was the one MMO that I've played in the past 2 decades where it did not begrudge you for not playing it.
Right.
It did
not.
Well,
right, and that's the thing. Games hate you for not playing. You didn't log in today, so you don't get your daily thing. You don't get this thing because you didn't log in. So.
And we haven't even touched on what that FOMO, that fear of missing out mechanic, has done for mobile gaming.
Ugh. Well, and it's not even the FOMO so much as it is, daily quests. When they start putting in dailies where you got to get in every day to get this stuff, to get these mats, to make this thing.
Yep.
Or else you're going to fall behind.
And once again, blame WoW.
Yeah.
WoW.
Sure.
WoW popularized the daily and weekly quest model.
Right. Well, they took that model and everybody copied it.
Yep. Well, now, fortunately, these days, most companies are smart and they offer catch-up mechanics because they know that they're not going to get you to come back to the game if you feel left out.
Right. But even the catch-up mechanics are like,
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I agree.
But at least it's there, right?
Like the ones they put into Destiny, where it was like, hey, if you want to catch up, you're going to spend 20 hours doing so. That's not catching up.
The last few Destiny ones, they've given you a token to boost a guy.
Fair.
And then this last one, they not only give you a token, there was that chest to get an actual set of armor at the proper light level.
Oh,
whereas
right.
Before you just got boosted, but that's great. I'm
timeout,
1200, but my gear is 5.
Timeout. That also took them 10 years to implement.
Oh, sure. I didn't say it. I didn't say they've done it the whole time. I said they've done it once. If we're going to be fair, let's be fair.
Yeah. And now
for the most part, catch-up mechanics are like.
The other thing that bugs me, right? The other thing that really grinds my gears, is that with the live service model being the way that games are going, and every game wanting to be your job, And you and I have talked about this, but we mention this almost constantly. But it is a constant, and it drives me fucking batty. For some reason, with live service games, the norm is to push the game out, hope to fuck it lasts for more than a couple of months, and patch all your problems out later.
That's my big problem, is the fact that you're releasing broken shit.
That's my biggest bugbear with the whole with the whole fucking thing, because
and they're also covering that now with early access. They're using that blanket now for that sort of thing. But yeah, if you're going to release a product, release the fucking product,
right,
and not half of it.
Jim Sterling said once, it should not be hard for video game companies who it is their sole job to just make and sell a video game. And I agree. Because the thing of it is that's your fucking job. That is the whole reason you fucking exist.
It's your job,
just
not
to make
mine.
and sell a good video game. You do not have to sell me, 8,000 add-ons for the video game. You should not have to work hard. I'll put it this way. You should not have to work. These companies should not have to work as hard as they do to make and sell products that enhance their video game. When if they just made the fucking game better at the outset, I would have no problem dropping money on their upgrades, their this, their that, their other
things
things.
that should have been there from the beginning, like say controller support.
Right.
I'm a little salty about that, if you can't tell. But these are things that should be in from the beginning, and they just use this. Well, we'll put it in later. It's a live service game, or it's early access. Well, yeah. Well, you know what happens? The next time you put out a game, you don't get my money.
Right. Well,
I'll wait until you actually put the whole fucking game out before I spend my money.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that I find interesting is that a lot of these new live service titles that have come out in the past couple of years, right?
Right.
They seem to want to break into genres that have established competitors already.
Right.
But they don't offer enough to differentiate
themselves. You're not
themselves
offering me anything new.
In a way that makes in a way where I would choose, say, I don't know, let's say Borderlands goes live service, right? Like, why would I want to play Borderlands?
Don't bring that up.
Oh yeah. Hey, we're getting Borderlands info at the Game Awards, by the way. That was revealed today. But let's say Halo goes live service, right?
Right.
Or whatever, and somebody comes out.
Don't put that on my Borderlands, man. I'll have to hurt you.
And somebody comes out with a game to try to compete with Halo, as a live. You're never gonna fucking do that.
Right. Well, it's like trying to compete with WoW. Back in the day, it was trying to.
Well,
nobody can really compete with
games
EverQuest.
Are still marketed
as
WoW killers. It's been 20 fucking years.
Well, WoW was supposed to be the EverQuest killer. Guess what's still here? Look, Ultima Online's still running.
Well, the other thing is like, if you're the sort of person who plays live service games, right? You're probably already playing one, and so are all your friends, and you either all have to switch together.
Yeah, either switch together or not at all.
Or you have no friends in the new game.
Right. And
because
that's the problem.
Nobody does the mass game group hopping anymore. We used to.
No.
We used to do it all the time. But you know what?
Right.
That shit's too goddamn expensive now.
We can't even do it with the three of us anymore.
It's too fucking expensive, man.
Well, it's too expensive. Interests diverge.
Right.
That sort of thing, and things are, and here's the thing about getting older as you game.
Right.
Things just don't grab you anymore like they did, and you're like, I'm not going to spend $60 to play this thing for 2 months, get bored, move on. On the other hand, I don't want to make game my job. I play more than one game.
Yep. And
if I'm playing if I'm playing one game, then there is something about that game that has finally drawn me in. And I freely admit this. I've admitted this before. I am looking for that game that gives me the feels I got when I first played EverQuest.
Yep.
And I haven't found it.
Yep.
Because part of that is because you never forget your first love, so to speak.
You can't go home again.
You can't go home again, which was not EverQuest. Actually, it was multiplayer BattleTech on the Genie Network. Shout.
God, you're old.
But I am. If that game were still up, I would still be playing it today. I would probably still be be willing to pay $3 an hour to play it.
Yeah. Well, so here's the other thing, right? Is that unless, and I wrote this down because I'm going to read what I wrote down to make sure I say this right. All right. Unless your game that you want to be somebody's job isn't the first in the genre, and it won't be.
Right.
It won't be, right? You must present the magic question, right? That question is, why would players leave the game they are currently playing to play your game?
Right.
It's the same thing. What I was in marketing for years, right? What is the unique selling proposition?
Well, right.
For your thing?
What makes you stand out? What separates you from the 300 other live service shooters that are already out there?
The problem is that these video game companies learned the wrong lesson from World of Warcraft. They learned those other video games have a live service model and they're making oodles and oodles and oodles of money. Therefore, that means that players must love the live service model regardless of the game.
Right.
That's what they learned. They did not learn.
The problem is most players actually hate the live service model.
Yep.
And wish it would die in a fire.
They did. They did not. They did not learn the correct lesson.
Right. What nobody has solved yet is how to get away from the subscription model without diving down the absolute black hole that is microtransactions.
The problem
keep generating income.
The problem with that is everything is moving towards a subscription model in media regardless. And it has been for a number of years.
It's weird that games are the only thing that are trying to move away from the subscription model.
Right.
Everything else.
That's not necessarily true.
If they could get away with it, true. If they could get away with it, and some games still do, the only reason WoW gets away with it is because when it started.
It's not even that. I'm talking about companies are using like Ubisoft or Microsoft with Game Pass, Ubisoft Plus. EA has EA Play Pro and EA Play. They want you to not own your game anymore and buy.
Oh, sure. That's a fact. It is what it is, and it's not going away.
Exactly.
Because, and again, I'm putting it on us. We have allowed that. We, the gaming community, have allowed this to happen. You know why? You know how we've allowed it to happen? Because every time Ubisoft puts out a new Assassin's Creed, we all go fucking buy it.
Yep.
Every time they put out a new Madden, we all go buy it. We all go screaming to EA to buy it. Every time they put it in, and as long as we continue to do this, companies are well aware, okay, I don't give a damn if you go on Reddit and scream your head off and you have 1 million people that agree with you because every last one of you just gave me $60 for my game and you're going to continue to do that. So you just do what you want. We're going to continue to abuse you until we speak with the wallet. Nothing will change.
Right. Well, and looking at this whole live service thing and talking about games want to be your job, right? I have to come back to Destiny for 1 second, right? Because Sony bought Bungie specifically to move Sony from the single-player haven of games that they've been known for 30 years into a live service era.
And that's turning out to be a terrible purchase.
Jim Ryan said that hands down. And it's gone fucking terribly for them. Yeah. But honestly, it makes me laugh. As deep down an Xbox guy at heart, like I own every console. I love all the platforms. But I started playing console games outside of a Nintendo on my Xbox. Right.
Listen, the only company that it would have been more beautiful had this been happening to is if it was Nintendo. Frankly.
Right.
Because they're fucking predatory. That's a whole different subject. But anyway,
the worst of it is that Nintendo, Nintendo is like Disney. Nintendo is the gaming company equivalent.
You're not wrong.
Where Nintendo and we've said this before. Businesses aren't your friends. Look.
No.
I worked for Disney for 3 years. I could unequivocally say businesses are not your friends.
No, they're not. They're out to make money.
Exactly. They
Now,
are a
granted,
money
some
making
businesses
entity.
are better at it than others. Some
you-
businesses are friendlier
right.
than others.
But you
At the
don't.
end of the day, they're not your friend.
No, and you don't last 100+ years like Disney and Nintendo have
Right.
by being everybody's friend all the time.
Right.
The other thing that I found interesting, right, is that when it comes to these live service fucking things, right? If if you get past the hurdle of, okay, I have a quality hook for a game, right?
Right.
Yeah, I have a great idea for a game. It's the gameplay loop is good, the hook is good, whatever you want to call it, right?
Right.
You not only have to be gangbusters out the damn gate these days, but you have to have quality content planned for a year plus beyond that, and
Right.
deliver on it.
Right.
Because look at everything that Destiny talked about post Final Shape sounded great on paper.
Turns out.
Execution, not so much.
Right. Well, and we've talked about this before. If you're going to compete in this market, you cannot release a half-assed product.
Yep. Because
Otherwise, you end up on that list of dead live service games.
but it's not even. It's not even.
But it doesn't even matter if it's live service. But if your product comes out, you're right. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't expect somebody to release like the next Borderlands. Let's go back to this topic.
Yeah.
I do not expect the next Borderlands to have the same amount of content as 10 years of Destiny.
Right. Yeah, no. Right.
But I do expect it to work. I expect it to function. I expect it to be a complete product.
Yep.
I don't if I'm buying half a product, I won't buy another Borderlands game.
Yep.
It's just that, and I'm just using Borderlands as an example. Doesn't matter. A
Yep.
perfect example of a game that did it right was Pal World.
Yep.
It came out. It's even in early access. What they put out in from the very first early access could have been a release candidate these days.
Yep.
Easily. The thing was, it was feature complete. And that's the problem. They're not putting out feature complete games. They're putting out half-ass games. They're hoping, like you said, they're hoping we can make it so we can patch it in. Or if they're not looking, we can throw that in the microtransaction shop and make them buy it.
Well, that's the other thing. Is like Ubisoft has been caught doing this as well, right? Yeah, and Ubisoft is. I bring up Ubisoft because Ubisoft is the company that I know has been doing this. They created what I've called the Ubisoft problem. In fact, where especially even in their single player games, right? They will artificially inflate the number or the amount of experience you need to level in a game like, say, Assassin's Creed, only to sell you back a fucking experience boost
Right, a bonus,
for $5
right.
that brings you back to the amount of original intended fucking experience anyways. Talk about
Right.
making a game your job.
Yeah.
Like, it just...
Which is why the most I've paid for an Assassin's Creed for like the last 3 games is $15 for one month of Ubisoft Plus.
It floors me, man. It absolutely floors me. And
Which is also part of the problem, by the way, because
Senator
here's
just
the thing.
followed.
yeah,
If 1 million people, let's say 1 million people, jump on the Ubisoft Plus train
yep,
to play that game.
Yep.
So that's $20 a month at this point. That's
Yep.
$20. You could have sold me that game for $60.
yep.
And so again, you're not making back your investment. You're
Nope.
never gonna make back your investment.
And we you and I have talked about this before. Is that I think that these companies would rather have. And I think I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this when I was playing Outlaws. Right. These companies would rather have your $20 for 3 months than they would have your $60 game once.
Right, but you're not going to get my $20 for 3 months.
But
you're only going to get it for one.
But their hope, and honestly, this is what
the
happens.
hope is you forget about it.
Hope is you forget about it. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
The,
Sure.
the other thing is like the saddest part of this whole thing, right? In them wanting to make games your job is they've forgotten what made games fun in the first place. Because the sad part is, a lot of these live service titles like Anthem or fucking Evolve or even Marvel's Avengers, right? Conquered. They all had a solid game buried underneath all the bullshit. Hell, even First Descendant had a solid game and solid gameplay loop buried underneath all the microtransaction live service make this your job bullshit.
So talking about this, let's get some hard numbers. The agreed upon budget for the new Assassin's Creed is 125 million.
Which is less than I thought it was going to be honest with you.
No, wait. Anyway, hang on. Anyway, we'll just use that number. We'll use 125 million.
Yeah.
That means you need 6.25 million people to pony up for $20 for a month just to make your money back.
So then, So then, that's a lot.
And you're never gonna get it.
You're never gonna hit that. No, but that's where, especially when we're talking Ubisoft, they have, 4 or 5 editions of their damn game that they sell with different perks and tiers and this and that and the other thing. So you're looking at, let's see.
It's just nuts.
And those start at $70 and go all the way up to $130 generally for a Ubisoft.
Sure.
So,
but how many people are really going to buy that? Give me a number.
A lot. I mean, a lot.
Fine, a lot. So $70. Let's say, even if a million people buy it, you still haven't made your money back.
Right. Well, so
even at 125 million, you've barely made half of your money back at a $70 sale.
Yeah, and they're not going to make their money back. It is, and I think you and I said in episode 2 or 3, every game underperforms because they have these unrealistic expectations for these games.
Which is also why they need those games to become your job, and they need you buying those microtransactions.
Yep. Or they need you to say subscribe or whatever it is.
What was it
right?
Was it Delta Force that? Yeah. The entire microtransaction shop is literally just cosmetics.
Yes.
I don't have issue 1 with that.
No, me either.
And to be fair, I don't have issues with an experience boost being sold. I really don't. You can argue it. You can argue either side of it. Well, it gives somebody an unfair advantage. Technically, in a game that's not level based, okay, so they get that one gun unlocked 5 minutes before you do. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually make them better at the game. And in this case, skill is going to trump level every time in that sort of game.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't really have a problem with that. It's when it's these packages that give you this huge boost of, here you go, here's cut straight to the end game or whatever. It's a weird line to walk in the microtransaction shop. I freely admit this. Some people do it better than others. Some people don't do it well at all. I'm looking at you, Diablo Immortal.
Yeah.
I will name names. Tell you what. But Diablo Immortal is probably the most egregiously microtransaction game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
First Descendant kind of gives it a run for its money at times.
I was gonna say First Descendant really,
But it's not nearly as bad as I thought First Descendant was gonna be because of who's putting it out.
Fair.
I was prepared for Diablo Immortal and more, basically, in that game.
Yeah.
Now again, that is a game that wants you to make your job in order to be able to advance and get the other things. Although in this case, it's not so much. In a lot of these cases, it's not so much they want you to make it your job. They just want you to get tired of it and spend real money.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the key. And as much as Destiny is overly microtransactioned, you really can't use it to get ahead, so to speak, right?
No.
There's no true advantage there.
The only advantage you have in Destiny if you spend money is you get to look cooler than everybody else. And that's subjective, right?
Boy howdy, because I think most of that stuff is ugly as sin.
That new Dawning armor this year is pretty cool, though. I really like the look of it, but not enough to want to go log in and play every day.
Right,
And
that's the key, right? It's like,
well,
that's really cool.
and
Not cool enough to bring me back, but it's really cool.
I mean, well, suppose with the everything I've seen is that the Dawning this year got a horrible nerf bat anyways.
Nice.
It's like a fraction of what the event was even last year, and last year was pretty bad.
Right.
But I mean,
Well,
they
need to change it up, but that's a different subject.
So we're sitting here and we're talking about all this, but neither of us have offered solutions. So,
well, I don't know that it's so solution to make your game your job. Oh, that solution's easy. Realize that people play more than one game, and plan accordingly. Don't get so bent when somebody hasn't logged into your game every day.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You got my money.
Yep.
Everything else is microtransactions past this point. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter. You got what you're going to get. That's the problem is understand that what you're going to get is that upfront cost.
Yep.
You can almost look at microtransactions like tipping.
Yeah.
Let's bring it to something that we both know. Performing at Ren fairs.
Yep.
What people are required to pay is the ticket price.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's all. They're not required to tip you if they sit at your show, which it would be considered a microtransaction.
Right.
I want you to pay me for what I did.
Yep.
Microtransactions are the same way. They're usually not required. According to what I've seen, getting like Path of Exile, for example, nothing is required.
Right.
It doesn't make things easier. One guy said he played the original Path of Exile for like 100 hours before he ever bought an inventory expansion.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
I don't like the fact that inventory expansions are locked in the store.
I agree.
But it's a thing.
It's all convenience
anyway,
crap.
There is a line. I don't know what the actual solution is other than just put out a good product and people will come.
Right.
But the more you try to force it, the less you're going to be successful.
Yeah. So here's my solution, right? My solution is that these companies need to take a step back and they need to reevaluate what it is that made their games successful in the first place. And to stop chasing the trends that they're chasing, because that's what got them. That's what got them in this.
You could say that about any company,
in
right?
the hot water in the first place.
When you're chasing trends, you're doomed.
Yeah, but so my thing is
chasing an algorithm.
Yeah, my thing is that they need to take a step back, right, and reevaluate what made several, and look at the big picture of what made their games popular in the first place.
Right.
And really understand, and then on top of that, right, hire development leads and developers for those titles that give a flying fuck about the game, not the money, the game. Because if you make a good game, I've said this for a decade plus, if you make a good game, the money will follow. If you build it, they will come. Yep. If you build it, they will come. If you put out a good product, the money will follow. Single player titles sell so well because they put care and love behind those titles, and they sell like fucking gangbusters.
Right.
Indiana Jones is selling like gangbusters. God of War Ragnarok, fucking sold like goddamn gangbusters. Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, fucking The Last of Us, fucking Halo Infinite sold like gangbusters because the game was fucking good. The single player campaign for Halo Infinite was incredible. Like, if you build a good game, that's all anybody wants. We don't want these fucking trend chasing, yada yada, blah blah bullshit. No one is asking you for that.
Right. I don't need another battle royal. That's the thing. And again, you've got the juggernaut that is Fortnite.
The thing of it is like, we don't need another battle royale because you want to know what? Fortnite's fucking outclassing every single fucking one, and they're still doing it. This week, they're adding 2 new fucking game modes. They're adding a role-play Lego mode, for fuck's sake. They're adding a first-person shooter fucking 5v5 arena mode, for fuck's sake.
Right.
Epic put out a fucking editor for Fortnite where you can create fucking anything. Anything.
Right.
Why do we need 30 more battle royales?
Right. Well, why do you need 30 more battle royales? Why do you need 30 more shooters? Why, one could say, why does Delta Force need to exist anymore in the land of COD and
Why
Battlefield?
does Delta Force need to
Why does,
exist? Because
you know,
Call of Duty got too damn big for its britches, and every goddamn team can't make every version of that game function. And Battlefield has
well,
been fucked since fucking
sure.
Battlefield 1. That is why. That is why Delta Force exists.
It's the thing, though. And I'm not sure what they bring to the table yet. But again, once they put in controller support and I can actually sit down and play it for a length of time.
The thing about Delta Force, right? The thing about Delta is it brings back a feeling that Battlefield used to give me when it comes to that warfare mode, right?
Right.
It brings back a feeling of I can
Matches are too damn long.
Well, I mean that's also the way the Battlefield matches are. Battlefield matches go on for an hour.
Right, which I also thought was too long.
I agree, but like it's
the game that gets that right? Destiny.
Yeah.
The Crucible matches are just long enough.
15 minutes. Strike is probably 15, 20 minutes, and that's if you're not rushing.
Right, they get that right. And I'm just talking about the Crucible in this area. You're gonna be done one way or the other in 15 minutes, and you can move on. Of course, but anyway, yeah, it's just one of those things. I don't know that there's a perfect solution. I agree. Game companies need to take a step back and look at a lot of things.
Right.
They need to cut budgets. They need to get budgets back down down off the moon.
Yeah.
To something more realistic.
Yep.
This drive to have complete photorealism is dumb.
Yep, and I've said this for forever. I would take a great story over great graphics.
Absolutely. Well, that's why Torchlight works, right? Because great gameplay. If you go back to let's take it back. Let's take it all the way back. Why do arcade games work? Why do you keep putting quarters in? Because the gameplay is good. Mostly. Some of them are punishing, like the original Dragon's Lair. That was when you finally discover that entire game is just a QuickTime event. Well, the predecessor to the QuickTime, what became the QuickTime event. Right. But they're punishing with Space Invaders, Asteroids, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Cuber, Spy Hunter. The list goes on and on and on of games that are just playable.
Yep.
Gyrus, Tempest, Tutankhamun, Dig Dug. Yep. They're playable. They have to be. And even when you start looking like the home consoles, it's the same thing. And these guys did more with like 8K of memory than some of these companies can do with the virtually unlimited amount that we have now.
Yep. And like I said, I will take a great story or great gameplay over great graphics any day. Any day.
I have tons of games sitting here right now that the graphics ain't that great in.
Yep.
Star Sector, Avorion, Spaceborne, Starbound, Starcom Unknown, Torchlight.
I'm noticing a pattern. Right? Half those games you named were space games.
I know. Torchlight, Guild Wars 2. Those graphics aren't great by today's standards. Secret World Legends, not great by today's standards.
Yep.
Diablo 2 Resurrected. So it's like these aren't that great. Fishing Planet, Insane Aquarium. Insane Aquarium is an amazing game to this day.
Yep.
But the graphics aren't that great.
Yep.
And that's before we get to the MAME stuff and the other stuff. Don't Starve. Enshrouded. The graphics aren't like outstanding, but they're good, right?
Enshrouded is fucking great, and I'm telling you,
Minecraft.
We have to get back at Enshrouded. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we got to play the new stuff.
Yeah, we've got to because
Valheim.
Yep, Valheim.
None of those have great looking graphics, right?
Nope.
But how many hours have I put into Minecraft and Valheim? Holy
Many.
crap! I don't even want to know.
Well, and then it's like the things that I've seen from like Dune Awakening and stuff like that make me think that it can be done. You can do the great gameplay and great graphics, but
Yeah, those from the videos, those games, those graphics look fine. They're serviceable.
yep.
I don't need it to look perfectly
What?
realistic.
And like
Here's the thing: I don't even need it to look like RDO, which may be the most beautiful game ever created.
I have to agree. Yeah, I have to.
I've literally seen screenshots from RDO. People post those as landscape photos, thinking they're real.
Yep.
And you're like, sweetie, that's not real.
That's
I can show you where that is.
That's a video game, and they're like, "What?"
Right.
I'm like, "Yep,
That's a video game right there."
Yep.
But so yeah, they need to step back. They need to reevaluate, but they're not, because most of these companies are no longer driven. Here's the thing: 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when you had your Ultima Onlines and your EverQuest, these companies were more driven by gamers. They've never been completely driven by gamers, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But they were more driven by people who was doing this because they loved whatever it was they were doing.
Yeah.
Less about bean counting, more about labors of love.
Right.
These days, it's way more about the bottom line. It's all about the bottom line. And part of that is because, well, the bottom line's gotten too big. And again, we go back to WoW. Your fault.
Yep.
WoW just came. WoW came along, and to use the phrase, changed the game. Not only they changed the game, companies discovered they weren't even playing the right game at that point. If they wanted to make money, they weren't even in the same league.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, WoW also kind of caused Blizzard to stagnate.
Yeah.
Because for a long time there wasn't much. You'd occasionally, and still we occasionally get a new Diablo.
Yep.
What happened to StarCraft? Dead.
Well,
What happened to the RTS aspect of Warcraft?
Dead.
It became all about WoW, and
Yeah.
that was all that they were doing, and they weren't even really innovating in WoW for a while. Of course, to be fair, they tried to innovate and then people got pissed. So, because that's the old adage of we want something new, and then you give them something new, and they're like, yeah, but you changed it, and we didn't want you to change it. Well, you don't get it both ways.
Yeah.
The gaming industry is not buy. Boom.
Yeah. But it'd be very. Yeah.
But games as a job needs to die.
Oh yeah.
It just
absolutely.
needs to die. The
Absolutely.
first thing they need to realize is gamers want to play games. They don't want to play game.
Right.
Some do. Some are perfectly happy playing one game.
There are plenty of people in my World of Warcraft guild who play nothing but WoW. They have 30 characters and they play them all and they all do. And you know what? If you can do that, more power to you. I can't.
Right. If that's your bag, that's great.
Yeah.
But the majority of gamers play more than one product.
Yep.
Even if it's just briefly, right?
Yeah.
And well, for a long time, Destiny was took up 90% of my game time.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I mean, the thing of it is like I can get stuck into a game for a while and enjoy it and have a great time. But eventually, there are other things I want to do, other games I want to play.
Right. Eventually, that 40K game over there start calling my name, or that space game. We all know what happens when the space survival game comes out. See you later.
Dude, that one that you sent me today looks
Spacecraft today. Yeah, it looks good. There's a few I've got my eyes on.
Yeah, that one, the Spacecraft. If y'all are looking for like an exploration space game with building, kind of like Starfield tried to do, I think that may be it. We'll see. It comes out next year in early access.
There's another one coming too that's similar that they're calling Space Nautica. Because it looks a lot like Subnautica, even the way they're doing things, and that's a great game too.
Nice.
Still.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Subnautica's great. But I
don't have it currently installed, but I go back to it once in a while too. The second one wasn't that great. We'll see what happens with the third one. They are in development with Subnautica 3, so
nice.
That'll be cool.
Nice. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it. I think it's about to wrap it here. I know we're hitting close to your time. You normally have to head it anyways.
Right.
But
yeah, games as a job just needs to die.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to understand that if this is a hobby, and it needs to remain a hobby, if you want me to make your game my job, you better start paying me.
Right.
Not the other way. Not the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You know.
It's just
You
really...
better start letting me earn some Bitcoin every time I log in. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's the... But here's the thing: is that is a thing now. What they call
I
Web
know it
3...
was. Yeah, I know it
fucking
was. It
gaming
was
is a
mostly a
thing.
joke, but I do know it's a thing.
They're also all fucking terrible and a damn scam,
Right.
and nobody should ever touch them.
Right.
Please,
Right.
God, do not touch them.
Don't. Yeah. Please no.
But yeah, this was our makeup episode, guys. You will see us back next week for episode 7. We'll get back on a normal schedule after that, even with the holidays
actual
coming
real
up.
episode.
Well, this episode was fake. It was all in your imagination. No,
that's right. It's a dream.
This is a test.
It's a dream.
It was only
We're
a
really
test.
Bobby Ewing in the shower. if you get that reference, you're old.
Yeah, something like that. But as always, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you to Hannibal Lecter and Cenotaph for the follows today. Really appreciate it, guys. And as always, I love y'all very much, and we'll speak to y'all again as soon as we can.
And no, Jeff, we weren't calling you out. Peace.
This may be the last time you see me. This might be the last gig I do. At the end of today, I may just pass away.